Hobgoblins. The hobgoblins are a distinctive subspecies of plain-dwelling goblins that are found only within the lands to the far east, in the rolling untamed plains of the eastern steppes, where lies the domains of Hobgoblin Khan and his Hobgoblin Empire, the greatest greenskin empire in the known world. The hobgoblin race are considered traitors by all of their greenskin cousins, not because of their unbelievably treacherous nature, but by their treacherous betrayal of the greenskin uprising of Tsar Nagrund. This ultimate betrayal of their entire race and their inability to even trust each other has ensured that the hobgoblins have become utterly enthralled to the brutal protection and patronage of the Chaos Dwarves, making them in many ways the perfect slaves. Though hated by their kin, the hobgoblins are nonetheless the scourge of the steppes, feared, hated and powerful in almost equal measure. Hobgoblins are widely abhorred for their cruelty, wickedness and their appalling standards for hygiene. Few imperial scholars would be perverse enough to note the important differences between an ordinary goblin and a hobgoblin, and the truth is that the two subspecies are really quite similar. Physically, the hobgoblins are slightly taller, almost as tall as a man, yet they still walk in a stooped posture, with a smaller nose, needle-like teeth, and a perpetual sneer. Their red eyes are sly and shifty, and almost all hobgoblins have a distinct bony hump on their back, further emphasising their slovenly slouch. This bony plate that protects a hobgoblin's back most likely evolved due to one single defining characteristic that is more extreme than all of the other greenskin races. To all those that have ever faced a hobgoblin in person, they are known famously for being horrendously, irredeemably, remorselessly and unbelievably conniving and treacherous in their behaviours beyond those of any creature living within the world today. Hobgoblins are completely untrustworthy, so much so that they would backstab a friend or ally just to further their own gains without even a second thought, and would more often than not switch sides to those that can pay well or just happens to be on the winning side. Indeed, hobgoblins have a deep suspicion of any creature that doesn't betray its own comrades as soon as it is slightly more advantageous to do so. Self-preservation is a very strong instinct in the hobgoblin's mind, and they will endure any indignity to prolong or improve their miserable lives, or avoid suffering and anything like hard work. Like other goblin species, the hobgoblin are crafty, sneaky, treacherous, and near downright the most evilest race in the world. In fact, compared to goblins, the hobgoblins seem to bring this way of life to the extreme in their own society. Within their tribes and clans, they seem to form a rather twisted society where backstabbing, assassination, and use of poison is considered perfectly legitimate and often is a celebrated or distinguishable way of advancing in their society. Honour, traditional morals and the spirit of cooperation is entirely foreign to a hobgoblin's mind. When hobgoblins are not fighting amongst themselves, they make war on other races, mostly towards the great empire of Cathay, whom they have spent much of their history fighting against. However, these hobgoblin clans would also come across nomadic tribes of Northmen such as Kurgan and the Hung of the eastern steppes. Like the hobgoblins, these human warriors are primarily nomadic horse warriors, and huge running battles between thousands of mounted troops regularly sweep across the steppes, staining the plains red with hundreds of battles that have raged on for countless generations. In an effort to stem the tides of the hobgoblin, the emperors of Cathay built the Great Bastion, a 1,000-mile-long wall hundreds of feet high, which protects Cathay's northern borders from the worst hobgoblin or chaos incursions. Yet the bastion itself is just simply far too large for the Grand Empire to completely garrison, so this occasional ravening hordes of hobgoblin raiders would break or scale the walls of the bastion and cause havoc to the rice fields and villages that lie just beyond. The hobgoblins for all time will always be an ever-present threat towards the races living in or near the lands of the eastern steppes, and will forever be known as the Scourge of the East.